Why has China purchased farmland near 19 different military bases in the United States? Michael Snyder reports the Chinese are not actually being subtle about what they're trying to do. Today, they own more than 300,000 acres of farmland inside the United States, and they have been specifically targeting areas that are located near important military bases. And as you'll see below, the Chinese now own farmland very close to 19 different U.S. military bases. How in the world could our leaders have allowed this to happen? Foreign adversaries should not be allowed to purchase farmland at all, and yet somehow they've been able to acquire land that is ideal for spying on our military bases over and over again. In fact, the New York Post has identified 19 bases across the U.S., from Florida to Hawaii, which are in close proximity to land bought up by Chinese entities. China has been buying up strategically placed farmland next to military installations across the U.S., raising national security fears over potential espionage or even sabotage. The Post has identified 19 bases across the U.S. from Florida to Hawaii, which are in close proximity to land bought up by Chinese entities and could be exploited by spies working for the communist nation. When I read stuff like that, it makes me want to tear up my hair. Now, to tear my hair out, he says. Are the people that are in charge of our national security really this incompetent? According to New York Post, the list includes some of our most strategically important bases. They include some of the military's most strategically important bases: Fort Liberty, formerly Fort Bragg in Fayetteville, North Carolina, Fort Cavazos, formerly Fort Hood in Killeen, Texas, Marine Corps Base Camp Pendleton in San Diego, California, and MacDill Air Force Base in Tampa, Florida. We know that the Chinese are very interested in our military bases. Do you remember the Chinese spy balloon that was allowed to fly over our country? The path that it took allowed it to gather intelligence on Malmstrom Air Force Base, which is near some of our key nuclear assets. And this is where they're located. And the Wall Street Journal has reported that Chinese nationals have been caught accessing military bases and sensitive sites inside the United States close to 100 times. Chinese nationals, sometimes posing as tourists, have accessed military bases and other sensitive sites in the U.S. as many as 100 times in recent years, according to U.S. officials who describe the incidents as a potential espionage threat. The Defense Department, FBI, and other agencies held a review last year to try to limit these incidents, which involve people whom officials have dubbed gate crashers because of their attempts, either by accident or intentionally, to get into U.S. military bases and other installations without proper authorization. They range from Chinese nationals found crossing into U.S. missile ranges in New Mexico to what appeared to be scuba divers swimming in murky waters near the U.S. government rocket launch site in Florida. Look, everyone knows that the Chinese are trying to spy on us. That is not a big secret. Just don't make it easy for them. At the same time all of this spying is going on, there has been an unprecedented surge in Chinese migrants coming across the southern border. U.S. border officials said they detained 37,000 Chinese migrants attempting to cross the border in 2023, or 10 times the number detained in the year before. The true number of those attempting to cross the border is likely higher. The flow of Chinese migrants continued to surge in 2024, with CBS reporting in February that it observed 600 migrants, many of whom were Chinese, entering the U.S. in a single day. The House Homeland Security Subcommittee on Oversight, Investigations, and Accountability said in May that the number of Chinese nationals encountered by authorities at the U.S. border in March had jumped 8,000% from the same period in 2021. Most of the Chinese migrants that are coming across the southern border are men of military age, and they commonly travel to the border in groups. Suspiciously, these groups of military-aged Chinese men are often decked out in matching equipment. Isn't that strange? But they are let into the country anyway because that's what our leaders have decided to do. So now we have tens of thousands of military-aged Chinese migrants that are running around inside our country, and we have no idea where they are or what they're doing. The Chinese are preparing to win a war, and we are preparing to lose one. At this point, everyone realizes that the Chinese are going to invade Taiwan eventually. In fact, the Daily Mail ran a big story about the coming invasion this week. Xi Jinping views Taiwan as a big breakaway Chinese province and has vowed to reunify it with the mainland by force if necessary. He is in the midst of a huge military buildup, regularly sending fighter jets and warships to harass Taiwan and staging menacing war games in that area. When Taiwan is invaded, the U.S. military will be expected to intervene, and then we will be at war with China. Taiwan views itself as an independent of Beijing and is allied to America, a legacy that stretches back to the Chinese Civil War 75 years ago. America supplies the islands with weapons and is expected to go to war to defend them if they are attacked. By most estimates, the war over Taiwan would be one of the biggest, bloodiest, and most expensive in history. Most people don't realize this, but China and the Philippines are also on the verge of military conflict. Recently, there was a very alarming clash in the South China Sea that resulted in one Filipino soldier being injured. Filipino soldiers had to defend themselves with bare hands against Chinese Coast Guards armed with swords and knives, according to the Philippines. Chinese Coast Guard personnel rammed their vessel into boats belonging to the Philippines and boarded and attacked them, the BBC reporter Bronner is saying, leaving some injured and one soldier injured as well. Now, the Chinese have become extremely aggressive, and it's just a matter of time before we are at war with them. But even though many of our leaders publicly talk about the coming war, we're still allowing the Chinese to take advantage of us in unthinkable ways. We should have never allowed the Chinese to purchase large tracts of farmland near 19 of our most important military bases. Unfortunately, they are here now, they are there now, and that will give them a major advantage when war finally erupts. This is by Michael Snyder on End of the American Dream. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. This is by Michael Snyder. About the author, Michael Snyder's extremely controversial new book entitled Chaos is available in paperback and for Kindle on Amazon. He's also written 7 other books that are available on Amazon, including End Times, 7-Year Apocalypse, Lost Prophecies of the Future of America, The Beginning of the End, and Living a Life That Really Matters. When you purchase any of Michael's books, you help to support the work he's doing. You can also get his articles by email as soon as he publishes them by subscribing to his Substack newsletter. Michael has published thousands of articles on the Economic Collapse blog, End of the American Dream, and The Most Important News, and he always freely and happily allows others to republish those articles on their own websites. These are such troubled times, and people need hope. John 3:16 tells us about the hope that God has given us through Jesus Christ. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. If you have not already done so, we strongly urge you to invite Jesus Christ to be your Lord and Savior today. Finally, support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.